What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked In Sports Podcast. I'm William Locke, coming to you live from Chicago, Illinois. And we got, of course, my good friend Luis Barranco coming to you from Miami, Florida. Luis, another weekend of baseball is in the books for the most part. How you doing?
Bang bang. How we do? How was your weekend? How's it? How it doing up north, up in the north side?
Not too bad. Pretty chill, relaxed weekend ahead of our big trip to Boston next week to visit Armand. So kind of just took it easy, watched some baseball, got some ice cream. Good, relaxing weekend.
Cleaning the palate cleanse before the weekend. I was able to watch baseball from the beach this weekend. I had my phone, watched it from the beach, hanging out with some friends. Typical weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers around.
Yes.
Make sure if you listen to this later, make sure you give your mother a call, say what's up, make them feel special. Remember, a lot of them have paved the way for us to be here today. And, without them and without what they do for us, a lot of this is not possible. So make sure, and even if you're their pet mothers, make sure you also do them, because pets are also really big. So make sure you congratulate them on this special day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll give my shout out to all the mothers as well.
Yeah.
Gave my mom a call this morning. Was great talking to her. Of course, saw her last weekend for James's graduation. And it's always fun to see on the MLB side of things, the guys wearing the pink accessories, the pink bats.
Yeah.
I think you could make it more. You could do that more often. It doesn't have to be just Mother's Day. Mothers could have every day could be Mother's Day. So you could use those pink bats more often. I think it's pretty cool. I also think the NFL should bring back the breast cancer awareness pink accessories in October. That was also a good time.
Hey, I think the biggest takeaway you say there, every day should be Mother's Day. And don't let if there's one moral thing that you could take away about this podcast, this is, I don't know, episode probably 100, 150 of the Locked In Sports. Don't let the holiday be the day that you're thankful or you celebrate. Like, if you want to go say what's up to your dad, make sure you make the phone call. If you want to go talk to your mom, your brother, your sister, a buddy of yours, your significant other or ex-significant other, you still care about. Like,
I don't know about that part, but
I said still care about. If you still care, like, as a person, as a human being, just reach out, celebrate, be thankful, be proud of the day, and, get out there, have some fun. But in regards to baseball, let's talk about it. I mean, we do have this big trip this week. We are going to Fenway Friday for the Sale Crochet start. My question is, are we completing the 9 for 9 this weekend?
Individually, no. If the three of us, well, Kayla will be there too. Maybe Sophia. I don't know if she's coming. Yeah. Maybe the 4 or 5 of us could pull it off. But I'm not doing it solo. No chance.
I have been. I know Armand rarely listens to this because his life is so busy. If I have been stalking Instagram profiles, looking at what, because every ballpark, like Yankee Stadium, is well documented that you have Lobels, you have the chicken tender bucket, and all that in the stadium. And you have the tiramisu hats. Mm-hmm. But I can't find anything for Boston. The only thing that I found was a Fenway Frank. I'm sorry, that thing looked depressing.
I saw that too, and it was a Chicago person making fun of the Fenway hot dog.
The Fenway hot dog looks pale. I'm sorry. I'm not discriminating against hot dogs, but that dog looked like it needed some color. Like, it needs some time out on the beach, on the grill. I don't know.
That's good.
Definitely looks very interesting hot dog. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I true. What do they have? Like, I don't know, clam chowder at the stadium? Like, what is Fenway known for? If anyone's listening, you're a Red Sox fan, you've been to Fenway. What kind of food are they known for at the ballpark? I need to know.
I'm just interested in why the dog was literally like pale. Does it need to get tan more? Does it need to go do they need to go get their hot dogs to come down to Florida and be like snowbirds, get tanned, and then go back up for the MLB season in preparation? Like what's the deal here, Boston? Like, what do you get? Clam chowder,
lobster
rolls. That's probably it. A lobster. Yeah. But are we in lobster roll season?
I don't eat seafood. My stomach doesn't agree with it. So I'm gonna have to pass on that.
Seafood. I mean, what else? Is it obviously it's Sam Adams up there. You drink a Sam Adams, up there. Sam Adams, a lobster roll, or I would say a lobster roll, some Dunkin' Donuts, probably.
Yeah, Is there a Dunkin' in the stadium?
I don't know, but then what else? What else? Hey, listeners, if you're listening, let us know where should we eat, because I'm looking at, what should I eat? If I was going to Yankee Stadium, I would be funding the Kyle Tucker sweepstakes, eating chicken tender buckets.
Chicken tender buckets and the 99 burger, which I had last year, and it was pretty good. Not gonna lie.
But without further ado, I mean, you guys are filled in. Pod schedule this week is going to be a little interesting. We'll talk at the end about it because of traveling, where we will be heading up to Boston. But let's get into it. I mean, this is week 6.5, I believe, that we're on. The Yankees, as we always start off our podcast, the Yankees have completed another weekend of baseball. And as we always start these pods, William, our Yankee aficionado, there's the Yankee report. This weekend, the Yankees traveled out to West Sacramento to play the Athletics, in which the Yankees won 2 out of 3, which I will confidently say won 2 out of 3 as it is Sunday, May 11th, 6:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it is 12-2, bottom of the ninth. Johnny Pareda just took a strike 2 right here with a 4-seam fastball down the middle, down the inside part of the plate. But yeah, 2 out of 3 for the Yankees. On Friday, they won 10-2. I actually got to watch the full game while William was hibernating asleep. His phone was probably blitzed because they won 10-2. Will Warren, West Coast Will Warren, WWW. What you guys know about West Coast Will Warren had a incredible start, 7 1/3 with 1 earned run. That 1 earned run was a little league hit, literally off the middle of the bat, literally like a little dribbler into the outfield grass. And then Jasson Domínguez going 3-homer day from both sides of the plate. First Yankee to do it since Neil Walker in 2018.
First Yankee switch hitter to have a 3-home run game?
No, and since 2018.
Okay.
From both sides of the plate.
Youngest Yankee ever to have 3 home runs in a game, beat Joe DiMaggio's record. It was his first right-handed home run in his career, which I had a hard time believing, but I know he's bad from the right side of the plate. Yeah, he was great on Friday.
And then you had Saturday, tough game. I watched it from the beach. I was close. I was very close with the Carlos Rodon. They lost 11-7. I mean, Carlos Rodon was okay. Typical Rodon started 6 innings pitched, 4 earned, 10 strikeouts. Yankees were up when he was removed from the game, but then Fernando Cruz, I think we'll talk about, he was due. It was due for a bad one. William was calling for his DFA yesterday.
Just a joke. Just a joke.
You can't say these things. They ended up losing 11-7, and then Boone making some decision making again. And then today, the Yankees are up currently 12-2, 2 outs right now. It's curtains. Tyler Matzik is closing out the game right now. So William, talk about the weekend that was in Yankee fandom. I would like to say it was a pretty good weekend for you guys. Positive showings from Warren and positive showings today from Yarborough and Domínguez. And if you can go back in time and tell yourself that you would win the Will Warren and the Ryan Yarborough start, I think you'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, another good series. I think it's a series that, again, similar to the Padres one from earlier in the week, felt like we left a little bit of meat on the bones. Should have won the Saturday game. But let's start. I'm going to start with Sunday. Ryan Yarborough in a game that the Yankees needed some type of length because, the pen kind of high usage yesterday with Cruz and then Ian Hamilton and Matzik. He needed a good start. And, it was Cookie Carrasco's scheduled start. Obviously, he got DFA'd earlier in the week. So getting 5 innings from Yarborough, most of those were low pressure because of what the offense did early on. I think that's a win. De Los Santos came in 3 scoreless, strong, and then Matzik looks like he's going to close it out here. 1-2 pitch, fouled off. So Yankees are going to win. Offense came alive. Severino struggled big time. They were talking a lot on the broadcast about how excited Severino was to face the Yankees for the first time. He struggled, and the Yankees got 5 in the second inning, which was it marked the 10th 5+ run inning this year for the Yankees, which is tied for first with the Cubs for most in the league. Judge, he's back above 400 now. He's hitting I can just pull it up right now. I think it's 409. Let me just see. Yeah, I don't have the live stats on me, but he's back to above 400.
He's hitting 409, 1,273 OPS. We went 4 for 5 today before Aaron Boone thought it was enough for the A's to see.
Yeah, no point in keeping him in for the rest of the game. Not worth the injury. So he was good. They got to Severino early. Nice double from Oswaldo Cabrera there. Domínguez scored from first. Speed kills. Ben Rice with the grand slam in the 5th, which just blew it open. And then Goldie, a double in that inning. These games are always the best, just BTA situation. Had that on Friday as well, 10-2. I think that's maybe my biggest takeaway from this weekend is that stadium stinks. They were talking on the broadcast how it's a lot like Wrigley, where if the wind's blowing out, it's just going to be a million runs. And it kind of felt that way. Like that Langoliers home run against Cruz on Saturday, I thought it was a pop-up to Grisham. I thought Grisham was going to get it, and it was gone.
Well, the one thing they did talk about, and it was on Friday, I know Yes Network did not bring out the big hitters this weekend, unfortunately. I think we'll have Michael K back tomorrow, hopefully, in Seattle tomorrow night. I hope.
I don't know.
That's going to be a tough listen tomorrow at 10:30 at night while I'm trying to keep one eye open watching the West Coast swing tomorrow, because they definitely don't have there's no Paul O'Neill, nobody's out there. Like they literally have as in soccer we call it the U21s, U23 squad out there. Don't want to say like it's the B squad, but definitely not Yes Network 98-mile-an-hour fastball, not the Garrett Cole fastball, but what they were talking about was that the stadium is so configured so you can't. So a lot of stadiums in Major League Baseball, most of them, and I probably will screw this up, but I'm going to try to remember whatever. It was late. It was like midnight. And on Friday, they were talking about it, that they have the clubhouse right next to the dugout. And so a lot of stadiums under the dugout have the batting practice, the cages where you can do that. You can't do that in Sutter home. The batting cages are out in left field. So a lot of fans before the game on Friday were sitting out in left field watching BP in the cages and whatnot, and them stretch, because that's where they are in left field. And then they had to walk from left all the way over to the dugout. And that's the other thing. Pitchers in between innings can't go into the clubhouse. They literally have to sit in the dugout. So that's different for a lot of teams to do that. And
it's a minor league thing. It's kind of embarrassing for the A's.
They made the point also. Imagine if you get ejected, if a manager gets ejected, say Boone gets ejected for arguing balls and strikes or a player, that's going to be a long walk.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah, they were saying. So, I mean, great series, man. Like I said, well, my biggest takeaway is they win 2 out of 3. When are we going to get a sweep? Like, they've always been knocking on the door on sweeps, and I feel like that's the thing that defines great teams and good teams. Great teams are able to close games out like Saturday. Good teams don't, and that's the problem. And of course, how the division is right now, that it's so bad, quote unquote. If you are able to close out all these games that we have counted up, the division would be over by August. You wouldn't have to worry about it in September.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do feel like they're leaving a lot on the table right now. The Saturday game was tough, and Ian Hamilton just didn't have it, and I thought Boone left him in for one batter too long. Now I think the bases were loaded, and he got the strikeout. Ian Hamilton did, so maybe I was wrong there. But then you bring in, for a lefty on lefty matchup, you bring in Tyler Matzik. I understand you want the lefty lefty matchup, but Tyler Matzik is probably the worst reliever on the Yankees right now. I would have just gone high leverage, even if it's righty versus lefty. Would have gone Weaver there in that situation. Now,
Tim Hill.
Counterpoint is Weaver's been struggling this week. Yeah, you could have gone Tim Hill in that situation. I didn't understand that one. Now, Tim Hill threw one pitch on Saturday. Maybe they didn't want to throw him in back-to-back games, but Tim Hill was pretty rested at that point. Didn't agree with that decision from Boone, and the A's blew it open in the 8th. They scored 4 runs, and that was that really.
But that's a pretty good point that you bring up. They've been struggling. Like Tim Hill and Weaver have been struggling. I remember they struggled early on in last week's series. Like Luke Weaver, we talked about it. Tim Hill wasn't that great either with the San Diego series. So I don't know. It could be something to monitor. I mean, thankfully, you're not facing. Well, I mean, they have the Mariners now, which is the juggernaut of all offenses right now, currently in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, but Mariners just got swept by the Blue Jays this weekend.
And it is in Seattle, and Seattle is very pitcher friendly. That's the one thing I would say. I mean, off to this series, there's not much to read about. I mean, like the A's are the A's. I mean, the A's front half of the lineup is going to put a bunch of runs. Like it's probably one of the most potent offenses. But then the back tail is kind of like a work in progress. So like they'll put runs, but they're going to give up just as many runs. Like on Friday night, they had this guy, Elvis Alvarado, and I believe his name was Elvis Alvarado. Imagine Elvis Alvarado. You're coming up from AAA Las Vegas, and your MLB debut is versus the Yankees. Like, yeah, welcome. Like, that doesn't happen on good teams. You're not just throwing a dude out there like, oh, yeah, go ahead. And then that's who Jasson Domínguez hit a homer off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the top half of that lineup is genuinely scary. I felt that on Saturday. Jacob Wilson, Brent Rooker, Soderstrom, Langoliers, Lawrence Butler, who's been kind of struggling. That's really good. But after Butler, it kind of falls off with Andujar, Blade, Urias, who did hit a home run off Rodon on Saturday, and then Nick Kurtz, who still hasn't found his groove. Nick Kurtz, by the way, not the best defensive first baseman, missed that easy pop-up on Saturday, or it might have been today. Yeah,
it's a tough place.
It is a windy ballpark, and that's another point. It doesn't have the third deck, so maybe that in other stadiums, that third deck blocks a lot of the wind. You saw Grisham in center field kind of struggling with that line drive I think it was the 8th on Saturday that got over his head. I thought it would have been caught in any other stadium. That in Tampa, Sacramento and Tampa, both minor league stadiums, outfielders have to learn how to play the ball differently out there, and I do think it's causing some issues for players. And I'm sure the A's fans or the A's players have kind of hinted at it, but it seems like they don't really enjoy the whole situation there. And I do think it is kind of a bad look for the A's. I don't know why they couldn't have figured out something in Oakland for, even if you're still going to Las Vegas in 28, 29, could have re-signed with the Coliseum for a few more years. But they were just dead set on getting out of there. And like, it was also really hot. I think on Saturday it was in the 90s. Today it was nice in the 75 and sunny, but that in Tampa, like Tampa, it's going to rain all the time because you got those Florida showers, and it's going to be just dead hot in Sacramento in July, August.
Well, my question is, and they brought up a good point, these PCL ballparks, if y'all are familiar, AAA ballparks are really hitter friendly. How do you think the ball's going to even fly in Vegas? Like, that's also a big thing. A lot of people think the A's are going to have a legitimate problem developing pitchers and getting pitchers to go to Vegas.
Why? What's the deal with Vegas?
It's a very hitter-friendly ballpark. Like
they're building their own. They're building their own stadium, though.
Yeah, but they were talking about that the PCL ballpark in Vegas is like.
But they're not going to be playing in that stadium. They're building their own.
I know, but still, it's Vegas. I would imagine it's desert heat. Dry heat.
Does it make a difference that I think it's going to have a retractable roof or be indoors? Does that make a difference with I don't know how it works weather-wise. If the air,
we need somebody, a physicist or meteorologist, something like that on the.
So do you think we have another Coors situation, or not that bad?
We may have Coors again. That's the way I kind of hinted. They were talking about the PCL, about how this guy Elvis Alvarado was coming up, and it was like, oh yeah. Like, great that he got out of Vegas, but you're going to Sacramento, which is a hitter-friendly park, just because of the dimensions. And now you talk about the wind, that's pretty nutty. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But, like, back to the whole scheme of things, there's not much to take away this weekend. But just, like, great that they won both games. Will Warren and Yarborough did great, but, like.
Good series win. The offense played great. I wanted Ben Rice to get hot heading into this weekend. That was my goal for the team this weekend, and Ben Rice hit a grand slam today. So they won the series, probably left some meat on the bone, but the offense scored a lot of runs. It was Sacramento, which is interesting. You're going from one of the most hitter-friendly ballparks in Sacramento. Now you're going to Seattle, which is one of the most pitcher-friendly ballparks. What do they look like this week? Remains to be seen, of course. I can go through the probables for the Seattle series. It's going to be a late series.
Let me guess. I'm going to guess them all. Let's see how much. So Freed's going tomorrow night. Tomorrow night he's going Tuesday. Tuesday's Fried. So you're getting Fried, Schmidt. Schmidt's probably Wednesday or tomorrow.
Schmidt tomorrow.
Schmidt, Fried, and then you won't get. Oh, you're gonna get Will Warren again.
Yep, Will Warren again.
Yeah. So yeah, that's true. And then Seattle will have Wu, Castillo, some combination of Wu, Castillo, and then some guy that's filling in for Logan Gilbert.
Monday, Clark Schmidt versus Emerson Hancock.
Yeah.
Tuesday, Max Fried versus Brian Wu. Wednesday, Will Warren versus Luis Castillo. Monday, Tuesday are late night, 10 Eastern first pitch. And then Wednesday, it's an afternoon game, getaway day, because the Yankees next Friday and next weekend, it is the Mets series. Juan Soto returning to the Bronx. Been waiting for that one for a while. The Mets continue to play good baseball. That's going to be a must-see series.
So William will be putting his phone on Do Not Disturb the next 2 nights because I will be up in Forest at 10 o'clock tracking these series.
Yep.
I could only imagine you waking up Saturday morning, like, what happened? Like, Domínguez going triple, and then Warren. Like, Warren looked good. He looked real good. Like, the sweeper was sweeping.
Yeah. He's got good stuff. He does have good stuff when he's on. You know, that doesn't sound – that's kind of stating the obvious. But I do see potential in him. I don't think he's going to be like – it's not going to be this year for him where he's involved in the team in the playoffs. Maybe in the bullpen as like a high leverage guy. But if we're talking – and I do think he can develop into a starter, a number 3 guy, number 4 guy, which, I mean, he kind of is already. Maybe not number 3 right now, but he can be there as a playoff starter in a few years if he develops a little bit more.
Do you want a statistic, a scheduling note for the Yankees?
Let's hear it.
So after this 3-game set versus Seattle, the Yankees go to Colorado and to LA, and then they're done going out west for the whole season.
Good.
So the furthest west they go is Texas. For the rest of the year. So like it's kind of weird. Like they made I was like, wow, like I was looking at the schedule. I'm like, they don't go, you get all the West Coast done like in 2 weeks, essentially.
I do kind of enjoy the West Coast trips. It's fun watching late night games. Especially when I'm not as busy and have time to watch them at 10 a.m. But I do have to get up early, so I'm going to just watch the highlights on, I guess, Tuesday and Wednesday morning, and then Wednesday I'll probably listen to it in the office. I don't know. I in college, like that was my favorite when the Yankees were on the West Coast because I didn't have to wake up super early and everything. But anyways,
very interesting scheduling. I just wanted to point that out there. Like they go to the Dodgers and then they're done. They're done. Like literally, they're done. It's literally. I mean, they get the Mets and Rangers sandwiched in between the Rockies, Angels. I mean, what are you expecting out of the Mariners series?
I think the goal should be win 2 out of 3. Mariners had a bad weekend against the Blue Jays. If the Blue Jays can go in and sweep them, I mean, theoretically, the Yankees should be able to go in and sweep them. Will they do it? I think Seattle will be able to get one off us, especially with the probables. We're facing Wu and Castillo. Now, Castillo hasn't been as great as, in the past. But I think the Yankees should be able to win. Let's say 2 out of 3 is always the goal. 2 out of 3 is always the goal. You got Fried. You got to win the Fried start.
Wow. No, actually, this is crazy. I just saw sorry that but I was like, we talk about the Coors effect for hitting, but
yeah,
I think we don't get to talk about the T-Mobile effect for pitching.
Yeah, that's true.
Brian Wu, home and away splits are actually crazy.
Let's hear it.
So Brian Wu has pitched 2 games at home. ERA 1.38 at home. 2 earned runs, 12 strikeouts. Opposing batting average 196. Away, 4.02.
Wow.
24 hits, 14 earned, 3 homers allowed.
So you're saying I should just bench him on my fantasy team when he's on the road?
I don't know. That's your prerogative, but that's just nutty. Like you go from a 3 ERA,
Yeah.
difference home and away. He's an so that is nuts.
That is staggering. What else? What else is staggering is the Tigers' hot start. And we had my friend Andrew Ruppert, on the podcast for the Tigers preview. Since the Tigers have gotten off to such a hot start, and the American League Central has been incredible so far this season. We have the Twins on an 8-game winning streak. We have Kansas City playing really good baseball right now. They're on fire. Their pitching staff is on fire. And we have the Guardians, who are kind of playing voodoo baseball. We decided to bring Andrew back on the podcast. Fun as always. So we're going to pause the podcast now. Going to put in that conversation. We already recorded it. We think it's a really good conversation. We think you guys are going to enjoy it. So we're going to put that on now. And then after that, we'll get back to the rest of the podcast, recapping the rest of the weekend series. But without further ado, here's our good friend, Andrew.
We got Andrew, a friend of the podcast, on, who's going to talk about the Detroit Tigers. If you guys haven't noticed, as of Sunday, May 11th, as of recording this, the Detroit Tigers are 26-15. They've been the subtle surprise of the MLB season. Talk about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun things about the beginning of the season. Obviously, having one of the best records in baseball plays into that a little bit. I remember on our preseason talk about the Tigers, I put so much emphasis on the beginning of the season and how that was going to set us up for success this season. And they've absolutely dominated. Like you mentioned, the run differential, Will, plus 77, one of the tops in baseball. There was a video that's on Instagram right now, you talking about how well of a coach team we are. It's true. I mean, that's a great play by Gleyber Torres, mentally thinking 2 steps ahead. And there's just been so many of these small little things that you've noticed throughout the season. Going first to third with base running. We've talked about, like, the pitching staff is just amazing. We had a lot of hope about seeing Tarek Skubal coming off of his Cy Young. Jack Flaherty got roughed up a little bit at home in his last start. But him, Skubal, you have Reese Olson, and then you have Jackson Jobe. I mean, there's just so much talent on the starting pitching staff that has played out the way we thought it would. And there was a lot of question marks about the offense. And there's just been so many answered prayers through the first 40 games or something, and that's not going to win you much. But the resurgence of Spencer Torkelson was that right-handed power bat that we needed in the lineup, and he's had an amazing season. His average has dipped a little bit, which you'd expect, but he's mashing the ball. Will had another great video on the adjustments that Spencer has made at the plate, and it's really paying off. You can see he just looks more athletic, destroying the baseball. And our position flexibility has been a huge key at the beginning of the season as well, with the injuries in center field. We've had a lot of guys up and down from Toledo this year. And you've mentioned Javi Baez. We'll get into it a little bit more, but he deserves a lot of credit. I remember mentioning whenever it was brought up in the preseason talk, I was very excited for Javi this year before our season started, just because I remember saying that there was just so much opportunity for how bad that he was playing, like just to give you a little something. And he's done that and more. So I couldn't be more excited with the start. I love being at the top of the Central. And yeah, it's just been a great ride. April and May. I didn't expect this good of a offensive production. I have some stats to throw out there. Last season, March and April offense, 4.1 runs a game. They had less than a homer a game, averaging 226 and 664 OPS. This season, they're having 5.1 runs per game, 262 average and a 790 OPS. So they're not hitting the ball out of the ballpark at a crazy rate. I mentioned the bat of Spencer Torkelson being a huge addition, but just their approaches at the plate. I mean, the hitting coaches have got these guys dialed in for whatever the guy they're going up against, whether it's we're attacking this pitch this early or we're gonna let the game come to us. They are preaching the game plan to the guys every single night, And whether they win or lose, whether they have good at bats or bad at bats, they are improving. I think each time they're up at the plate. So it's been a really fun season thus far. We got to keep it going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. And off to that point, you brought up a point about the Javi Baez thing. I think I sent you the stat, William, in our group chat. But Javi Baez, what a transition to center field. I mean, that's really going on.
He plays well out there. I mean, you can see he's got the natural feel for the position. I think having that range at shortstop, moving back into short left and short center, he's made some pretty good plays in his career on the run like that. It's a little different view off the bat, but yeah, I mean, I was expecting him to look a little rough on the tough plays, and then just to be what we need on the routine plays. He makes the routine plays look pretty routine, and then on the ones over his shoulder, I mean, that leaping grab that he had in LA against the Angels, that was unreal. Like that's a starting caliber center fielder type of player right there. And his attitude for this season has really changed the whole outlook for this season, because it starts off a lot different if Javi doesn't hit well, if he's not willing to move to center field, and we got to play different guys out there. So it's sick. I love seeing it, man. I love seeing it.
Entirely different than what we're seeing from like a Rafael Devers in Boston. With the center field thing, what happens when Meadows comes back healthy? What's the situation with him? How long are we thinking for his return, and where does Baez go when he comes back into the fold?
Yeah. Naturally, those questions are going to come up. And I listen to a lot of local radio in Detroit, and I think the general consensus around the fan base is that when Meadows comes back, they're going to have a tough time. Or when Meadows and Vierling come back, Vierling's a little bit closer to his return. He's already mashing homers in Toledo right now, so we're going to see him up pretty soon, which helps you out. He can play center. He can play third and the corner outfield. So that helps out Javi Baez's flexibility a little bit. They've tried him on third and short this year as well. So I think whenever Meadows comes back, it's a problem, but it's good problems to have. Especially the way that he's played out there. I think when Meadows comes back and when Vierling comes back, you'll still see Javi out there. I don't think it's a problem talking about which guys need to play where, because with the way that AJ Hinch has set up this lineup from the time that he's got here to now, any guy can play anywhere at any time. And I don't care if you're starting there or not. Like, there's guys on this team that are stuck into one or two positions, and then you have a Zach McKinstry or even a Javi Baez that can play two or three positions out there. It's key for this team, especially late in games when they want to get pretty creative with the bullpen and how they use their pinch hitters.
Yeah, no, and off to the Javi, another point that we didn't talk about the Javi Baez, it's going to be hard to get him out of center. I mean, he's not qualified yet in the outfield yet. He hasn't played enough innings, but right now he would qualify near the top. He's posting a 4 DRS.
Yeah, wow. I heard his WAR recently. I can't remember what it was, but it shocked me. Like, it put me to the floor listening to. I mean, you go on Twitter on any random day, and if you're on my Twitter, it's a lot of Tigers tweets. The statistics surrounding the Javi Baez season is pretty unreal. I just hope it continues. Not at like the rate that it's going, because you can't really expect this guy to just be in the comeback player of the year conversation all year. Like, I didn't have those expectations coming in for him, and I don't think that I should change those based on what he's done this year. For me personally with Javi, I'm just looking at your chase rate and your attitude. Like, if your chase rate is low and you're swinging at balls in the strike zone and you look confident at the plate, that's what I need from you there. And then I think that just his attitude around the team. I remember distinctly talking about this and why I was so confident in Javi having a little bit of a comeback season. Watching the guys last year with that September, October run, that had to kill him. Like, he knew what 2016 in Wrigley was like. He's seen ballparks lose their effing mind all year. So I think that he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder to make sure that this team keeps winning. And the start that they had is very encouraging. Not saying you want to do this or have this mentality, because it can be the death of you in the major leagues. But with as hot of a starter they've gotten off to, if you continue playing good baseball, eventually when you get to the dog days of summer, you just got to limp towards the finish line and keep playing good baseball. So I'm not really worried about them. Um, with some of their guys like a Zach McKinstry also, who's kind of having a weird start to this season, an unprecedented start. I think he had like a 12-game hit streak, and his OPS is not what you'd expect. But with the pitching the way it is, and then the offensive mindset really is what I think can keep this team going throughout the year. They have a lot of fun playing out there. They're a great team to watch.
It's a good point about the hot start, because last year, obviously, you dug yourselves a pretty big hole and had to have just a historic August and September to make the playoffs. And this year, you start out super hot. You're probably not going to finish with the second best record in Major League Baseball, but you've built yourself a good enough record to where you can afford a down July, a down August, and you can still hopefully make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think also you'd love to look around and talk about the Tigers with the tops of the league. And I love being able to say that we have a very similar record to the Dodgers and that we have a better record than the Yankees and some of these elite teams. I don't think that's going to stick as we continue through the year. And as we start to not be one of the best records in baseball, you just got to keep pace with that division.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland scares me a little bit. They've kind of played some voodoo baseball with their run differential, but I'm not worried about it, because if voodoo baseball is good in September, like the Tigers, when you can't explain it but you're winning, who cares? It's September. Like we're getting down to the end of the season. But whenever you see that run differential and that record, is that sustainable? I would say what the Tigers are doing is a lot more sustainable than what Cleveland's doing. You mentioned Minnesota and Kansas City as well. I just don't see a lot of competition in the AL Central with the way the Tigers are playing. AL Central is not the best. Jeff Passan, I know, had a very viral tweet go out about how he thought about the AL Central, and Tigers responded with some bite to the teeth. But yeah, I mean, if the division is the division, I think we're going to win it still. I was confident at the beginning of the year, and the way they started off this year, I can't be more confident.
And I mean, talking about that division, I mean, that division's hot. And I mean, I think Williams gotten a glimpse of both the Guardians and the Tigers so far. I think the Guardians are a very good home team. And I think the biggest knock on the Guardians is that they don't have the pitching. Will they have the pitching to sustain the whole 162? The Royals have now started their pitching staff is carrying them. And then they're having guys like Michael Garcia and Bobby Witt Jr. start to heat up. I mean, before the weekend series for the Royals, you had, them sweep the White Sox. You had them beat win the series against the Orioles, and they swept the Rays. And then they also beat the Astros. They've been winning series, and that's what you want in these
Right.
days. But as you said, the Tigers leaps and bounds have the best rotation. And I know you talked about it with their pitching coach. Like, whatever they're doing there is incredible. I mean, I think, I came on last pod and I said 2 pods ago, and I said that the Tigers would end up winning the Astros series, and then they would end up winning the Angels series, and they would win the Rockies series, which they did, except for the Astros. And that game that they lost, I thought, we come often and talk about which games did the Yankees lose due to a managerial decision or to, just
Penn.
And I feel that Reese Olson game, I don't think Reese Olson should have been out there in that. I think it was the 6th inning. I watched that game, and it was that game, and then the floodgates opened for Houston, and Houston came and took the game. And that series, if they win that game, that's 2 out of 3 that they win.
Yeah, you mentioned winning series. I pulled up this statistic that I saw during our series with the Padres. And then this is since August 10th, 2024 to that date when we were playing the Padres. And this is best winning percentage following a loss since that August 2024 date. The Mets are the best at an 18-6 record, 750 winning percentage. The Padres were at 16-6, and then the Tigers were right behind them at 15-6. And I know that kind of nitpicks a date when we started to get hot, but whenever you can preach to your guys that following a loss to come back and have one of the best records in the league, that is going to help you in the long term when you're talking about winning series. Because as you continue through the MLB season, it, like you said, a lot of it is just about winning series and just getting every single last game that you can. I think another point I'd like to mention as well. I think Tiger teams in the past would have looked in Tiger teams with a hot start at the beginning of the season would have gone into that series with Colorado. First game gets rained out, then you have a doubleheader, or they play one game and then they have the doubleheader the next day. I think a different Tigers team looks at, I know Colorado's playing really bad right now, but I think a different Tigers team with a different mentality goes into that series and loses one of those games. And that just wasn't the case. They went on there and stomped on their throats and said, I don't care that we are playing in all these weird different time zones. This was the first time, get this is the first time the Tigers have ever played in all 4 different time zones, 4 straight series in a row. It's kind of neat.
Whoa.
Yeah, right? So
it's an interesting schedule wrinkle there, yeah.
It is, and they played well during it. Yeah, there's a lot of excitement around this Tigers team right now. You see the lines. I mean, it was like a Tarek Skubal bobblehead day or something, so there was lines for that. But there was 3 games sold out this weekend, and they're playing a decent Texas team this weekend. Lost 2 out of 3, but there's definitely that feel around this Tigers team that I really wanted to click from the beginning. I would have really struggled with this team limping out of the gates a little bit, showing their struggles at the plate with the young guys. I mean, I don't love a lot of the at-bats that I see from a guy like Trey Sweeney or Jace Young, but the improvements that I'm seeing each time, each 10 at-bats, you're starting to see the improvements from the minor league guys as well. Justin Henry Malloy is a guy as well that they just throw into a lineup every now and again. Coming up and down from AAA, they have a guy like that Justin Henry Malloy I'm talking about. He's a utility guy, doesn't really run well, and they just throw him at the one spot every now and again to just go and get walks and see the ball well. You're the first guy. We're probably gonna pinch hit for you, but yeah, it's an exciting group. They I think each guy is really bought in, which is the most important thing.
The buzz is definitely there with the Tigers. I was talking to my mom on the phone today, just for Mother's Day and everything, of course. And she grew up in Detroit, and she was talking about wanting to go get up there for a game this year. So yeah, it's obviously a really good fan base, historical franchise. Fun to see them off to a hot start. Luis, I kind of disagree with you on the rest of the division, though. I think we're aligned on Cleveland. The pitching is just not going to be there, but I think Kansas City. Detroit's not leaps and bounds better in the rotation than Kansas City. Kansas City, in my opinion, has one of the best rotations in the American League. But I do want to ask you, Andrew.
Let's do the question right now before we ask Andrew. Let me ask you: Skubal or Cole Reagans?
Well, I mean, I would take Skubal, of course. It's not up for debate.
Jack Flaherty or Seth Lugo?
Well, I'm taking Seth Lugo over Jack Flaherty right now. This is where I was going to ask Andrew, because
I would
4 home runs. He's been struggling. 4 home runs allowed on Friday or Saturday against Texas.
He's a very confident pitcher, and I think sometimes to a fault. He goes up there and is a little too confident in his stuff, and his location on some of his off-speed stuff isn't great. Whenever his curveball and slider are locating well, he's possibly outside of Tarek Skubal, the best pitcher in our rotation, depending on the day. But yeah, a little bit of a turnaround wouldn't be the worst thing to see in the next couple of starts from Jack, because they've done pretty well in the games that he's started, but after getting blown up a little bit, Casey Mize, who we haven't mentioned yet, who's had an amazing start to the season, just put on the 15-day DL or IL. So keep a note on that, on how we do post Casey Mize injury, and specifically Casey Mize when he comes back, because he's got like a 2.27 ERA right now.
Yeah, 2.53. I was gonna bring that up, the injury, because I'm feeling that on my fantasy team. He was off to such a hot start, and now is it gonna be like Kiter Montero taking over for him in the rotation?
Yeah, Carter's been that extra guy on our doubleheader days. He is usually pitching on because we've had a couple of doubleheaders now, and he's been called up for spot starts. I like Kiter a lot. He's definitely gives you chances to win. He's a little bit loose with his mechanics over the plate sometimes, especially with the fastball. But the pitching staff getting an injury this early isn't that concerning. I'm more concerned about just Casey Mize himself when he comes back, because after that good of a start, and it was, I mean, here in Detroit, we were looking at each other like, this is what we wanted all along from this guy. Like, we were just waiting for, and it's not only his fault. You know, he had injuries, he had a lot of bad teams he was playing on, which can't help. But he came out this year and started pitching really well. Unfortunately, it was the game that he got hurt in, but that Colorado game that he pitched in, it was noted pretty well by the broadcasts on how different the pitching is in Colorado. And he still had his stuff looking pretty sharp in Colorado. So I hope he recovers from the hamstring strain pretty easily and comes back with flying colors, because him on the rotation with Jackson Jobe being the baby-faced assassin that he is, like, and then you have the best pitcher in the majors. Jack, hopefully he gets his groove back. I mean, there's not much that needs to be said about this rotation whenever they're fully healthy and performing well. I think Kiter is going to give us some nice spot starts over the next couple of weeks. And I think that something that gets lost in the minds of our baseball aficionados out there is how AJ Hinch can just throw out a random guy on the bump for inning one, and it doesn't matter. So pitching chaos is still a thing. I think it's a nice identity of this team too, to just know that like all these bullpen guys, I know that they're just itching for the chances to go and to get their spot starts, because it's not only like I want to start because I want to start games. It's I want to start as a bullpen guy because that's the mentality of this team. And like, we're just going to get through this season with flying colors. I really hope that they keep the central lead this entire year. That would make me feel so fluffy inside, but I just don't. I think they'll lose it at one point in the season. I think it'll be a battle with Cleveland. And I was going to mention to you guys too, mark your calendars for September. There's a home series in Cleveland. There's one of the last four series. We're home against Cleveland, home against Atlanta. Then we go to Cleveland and to Boston to end the season. So those are potentially some amazing matchups down the end of the road there to look forward to.
I think it's going to be KC over Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland got the weird offense thing going with the negative run differential, but somehow they have a winning record. I just think Kansas City has the pitching to stay there. Now, they're kind of half teams. Cleveland can hit, but they can't pitch. KC can pitch, but it's really just Bobby Witt. Offensively, I feel like the Tigers are the most complete team in the Central.
Let me ask you guys, and Luis, feel free to chime in as well if you have an opinion. As far as the coaching in the rest of the American League Central, like, you can talk about the players, but I feel like the Tigers coaching is leaps and bounds above other teams in our division, which I think just gives you such bigger advantage than is really talked about on a day-to-day basis.
Well, in my opinion, I feel like, you know, in the Central, these Central teams, I know, William, you can talk about it a lot too, living in Chicago with the White Sox and the Cubs, especially with the Brewers also in that division, and the Reds. I feel like those teams have to get a little more creative than a LA, a New York teams with bigger markets. And I feel like those like departments, front offices, and managements are a little bit more forward thinking and more cutting edge in how to like manage games. For example, last year we saw Cleveland hire next player, and so did Milwaukee, not even within 5 years of retirement.
Yeah.
And so, I feel like each team is built differently and they're managed in a way that's very forward thinking. Like Kansas City has converted relievers, like they're doing the same thing the Mets are doing, converting relievers into starters. Seth Lugo, redoing Michael Wacha. You can see the Tigers kind of got lucky with the whole AJ Hinch and that the scandal
A little bit.
And and also that there was that connection there that it ended up working out. But yeah, I do feel like those, I wouldn't say that they're better, but they're a little more forward, a little more progressive thinking than other division teams and a lot of teams. So I like what I like about the Royals is I like this is something we talk a lot about the Yankees is what is your end game strategy? Like, what is your back end of the end game strategy? With the Royals, you're getting Lucas Erceg, and then you're getting Carlos Estevez. With the Yankees, what we always are like, okay, who's getting the 8th? We know Weaver's getting the 9th right now, but who's getting the 8th and the 7th? It's always a big mystery. With the Royals and those strong Royals teams back in the 2010s, it was always like, if you were able to get past the 5th inning, you just knew that 6, 7, 8, 9 was already done.
Yeah. I think that's a good point too that you mentioned with the bullpens, like in being super, super, super competitive. There's going to be a really interesting conversation to be had, and I don't want to really get into it on this pod. But as we get closer to the trade deadline, maybe I can hop on again and see how we're looking. But there's going to be a lot of opportunities for this Tigers team to look to add at the trade deadline, and it's going to be tough because there's a lot of connectivity with this group. They have a lot of depth in the minor league system as it is. It's just going to be interesting to see what this team looks like and how they're doing as the trade deadline approaches to see which areas they could improve upon. Because, I love their starting pitching, but if they have injuries, they could look towards that. I love what they have in the bullpen. Again, you don't need a ton of bullpen arms, but if they have a need at the trade deadline, I could definitely see them going out and using some of their prospects that they've been acquiring. If they are still one of the top teams in baseball as we approach the trade deadline, I'm going to be in the camp of let's package a player and let's really go for this thing. I don't care about the connectivity of this group and spoiling that up. Let's get somebody in here and really push us over the top, because I wasn't expecting this strong of an April and May, and we gotta capitalize on it.
Do you move Max Clark? Think about it.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, depends on who's coming back. Really, if you're talking about a name, and I don't think it's. I wouldn't move a name like that unless the Tigers were still one of the top teams in baseball with the Yankees and Dodgers midway through the year. I don't know. I really want to see Max Clark in the Old English D. This man loves it here. I need to see him in Comerica. So I'm gonna pass on that, but come back to me.
He's hitting 318 in high A ball right now. So yeah, I think he's kind of untouchable for the Tigers at this point. Andrew, thanks for coming on. Thanks for catching up with the Tigers. Excited to see them off to a hot start this year. Hope it continues, and hopefully we get up to Wrigley here shortly for another game.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm just noticing this now. Do you mind, Will, just scooching back just a little?
I am wearing a Tigers shirt.
Yes. I thought I saw that classic logo. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Of course. All right. Thanks, Andrew. We'll definitely have you back on later in the season. Like you said, maybe around the trade deadline, because I do think there's some ways this team can improve. But thanks again.
Appreciate it, Luis. And check your mail, Luis. I got a Javi Baez jersey getting mailed to you.
Yeah. Javi Baez defender. I defend Aura players, but always a pleasure speaking to you about baseball. Maybe I send you a trade offer. We can finally get a trade.
Oh man, I need to get out of the basement.
We all do. Basement needs to come together.
No doubt. Always love being on the show, boys. I really appreciate it.
Of course. All right. That was a great conversation with Andrew, talking Tigers, talking American League Central. Let's run through the rest of the weekend slate. Luis, where do you want to get started?
Let's talk about the Cubs. I mean, we had the Roku game of the day today, baby. Roku, 11 a.m. start. Woke up to set my fantasy lineup too late. It was the Roku game of the day, man. Used to be the Peacock, but Peacock is now the cock has decided to go its eligibility, just like ESPN did. And we had the Mets win 2 out of 3. Mets won 72. And Sunday the Mets won 6-2. Strong start again from Griffin Canning. Could be a guy I'd be picking up after this podcast. Griffin Canning, really good starter. Cubs won Saturday 6-5. I mean, the Mets are elite pitching staff right now. Time to give credit's due. Juan Soto, Mother's Day weekend, 0 for 9. Was a big sticking point for the Yankees. Going 0 for 9, big deal. What do you think?
Yeah, the Mets keep winning freaking baseball games. They're really good. But it doesn't matter how you're playing in April and May. It matters how you're playing in September and October. I will say Dansby Swanson, he's been getting hot. He's been playing good baseball of late. I just kind of feel like the Cubs might come back down to earth a little bit. I know that they got off to this hot start. I know they have, some exciting players like PCA.
The PCA is looking electric right now with the homers and all that, and the Fangraphs were defensively. He did miss a play out in center today. He should have gotten it, in my opinion, but
Yeah, sorry. I had to sneeze. Oh, my allergies are going crazy. Yeah, here we go again.
Yep. So, PCA is electric.
All right. Thanks for filling in while I sneeze. So the Dansby point, his splits in May, he's hitting 387 with a 1.199 OPS and 3 home runs. He's up to 8 home runs on the season. It's good to see him playing good baseball. He's been bouncing around the lineup. Had him all the way down in like 8th. I do think the Cubs are going to have a pitching problem at some point. And,
they already do.
I think they already do.
They already do. They're gonna have to make some type of move for a pitcher or somebody's. They had Cade Horton pitch out Saturday night, their top pitching prospect. They're gonna have to make a move. Maybe Matt Shaw is the bait that they use. Kevin Alcantara. It remains to be seen. Clay Holmes, electric again. Great start again this week at man. Oh man, Mets pitching rotation, voodoo magic out there. Who knows? David Stearns and the boys. What's going on in Queens?
Yeah, 93 pitches for Holmes on Friday, which obviously, considering he's a converted reliever, that's a lot. But he seems to be handling the workload well. And Kyle Tucker had the first home run off of Clay Holmes all season on Friday night. That was Tucker's 10th of the year. Brett Beatty, hot weekend, had a 3-run home run on Saturday. Followed that up with another home run in the 8th, a 2-run shot. So he's been hot. Maybe a guy that I'll look to pick up in fantasy. I don't know. I do have him flagged right now. The Cubs, it was tied 2-2 today into the 8th inning, and then Porter Hodge came in and blew it. Mets scored 3 on him. We had Vientos homer, Lindor homer, Nimmo homer on the day. And yeah, Mets continue to win series. The Cubs have an easy stretch coming up, which is probably very welcome considering their challenging schedule to start the season. They got Miami for 3, Chicago for 3, the White Sox, and then 3 again against Miami. So manageable schedule for the Cubs coming up. And then when you look at the Mets and what they got this week, they're facing Pittsburgh for 3, which they should take care of business. And then the Yankees for 3 in the Bronx next weekend. So look for them to stay hot. They're in first place. They're only 2 games up of the Phillies, who are playing right now on Sunday Night Baseball. Yeah, good. Another good series win for the Mets. They stay hot.
Should we go? Should we go to Yankee Stadium next Saturday?
It's going to be too expensive, and we're in Boston to hang out with Armand. Fenway, I want to check off the list.
We'll check it off the list, but we go. We get a rental car. We drive down to Boston. We go. We sit in right field.
As much as I want to, it doesn't make sense.
What's stopping you? You see, it's like that song. My mind is telling me no, but my body, it's yeah. I can't say it for copyright reasons on this podcast. So it doesn't. I don't want this portion to get cut out. But regardless, the White Sox. I'm just going to run through this. The White Sox won the series 2 out of 1. Shane Smith looking electric.
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3. Miami sucks.
Miami stinks.
Miami stinks. I mean, Sandy Alcantara lost the start today again. I mean, just not good. I picked him up on like a buy low, even though I dropped him earlier in the year in fantasy.
And yeah, he wasn't great. I mean, it was close into the sixth. It was 1-1, but then Tim Elko making his MLB debut, where he debuted on Saturday, but his first career hit was a 3-run shot off Sandy in the sixth inning to give the White Sox a 4-1 lead. And interesting note, the White Sox won their 12th game of the year today, May 11th. They also won their 12th game of the year last year on May 11th. Interesting.
Very interesting. As we move around the league, Philadelphia and Cleveland are playing right now. Just tapped into that when Stephen Kwan's up the bat right now, bottom of the first. Guardians won Friday 6-0. Aaron Nola is struggling. I did read a statistic. I don't know if you saw it, but Aaron Nola, he's very catcher dependent. Have you seen that?
I did not know.
So Aaron Nola on Friday, he had JT Realmuto did not catch him on Friday night. He had a different catcher, and I don't have the stat, but he had Marchano, and his ERA completely doubles when it's not Aaron Nola catching.
When it's not JT?
Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe they should put JT back there when he's pitching, because he hasn't been good this year.
He's been all right.
You know who has been good this year? Ranger Suarez. I know he's struggled a bit, but this start on Saturday, 7 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, only 82 pitches. Tanner Bybee was good as well, going 7, only allowing 1 earned. But the Phillies scored 6 in the 8th with 2 outs to win 7-1. Had a Harper home run, Kepler double, Marsh single, Sosa singled. And yeah, Joey Cantillo kind of blew it there for the Guards. 5 earned runs in an inning and a third pitched. Kyle Schwarber, 45-game on-base streak, tied for 4th longest in Phillies history. He's putting that on the line tonight in Sunday Night Baseball against the Guardians.
Let's talk about Aaron Nola. ERA versus with Marchand as his catcher, 7.40. Realmuto, 2.49. 4 starts with Realmuto as a catcher, 25 innings, 6 runs, 22 strikeouts, 5 walks, 4 home runs. Marchand as a catcher, 20 innings, 16 runs, 31 strikeouts, 10 walks, and 4 homers.
That's staggering.
Telling you. We move along. St. Louis, Alden's Cardinals, not 8 in a row, sweeping the Nationals. Complete game from Eric Fedde on Friday, 10-0 victory. Ander Palante, again, great start on Saturday, 7 in the third, winning 4-2. And then today they got to Mackenzie Gore with 2 home runs early and then chased him out late with an Arenado double. And then the Cardinals won 6-1.
Alden, I was texting Alden today about the Cardinals. He's kind of high on them. He's still a little hesitant to fully buy in. But I think we've reached the point where, I mean, they're 22-19 on the year. They're only a game back of the Cubs. I actually think they can win this division.
He's not trying to get hurt. That's the thing. He doesn't want to, not trying to buy in, and get hurt.
It might sound crazy, but I think this team can win the division because I just don't think the Cubs have the pitching to hang for a full 162-game season. We know offense is going to come and go, but pitching is ultimately your bread and butter. Starting pitching is your bread and butter specifically, and you have to have a strong bullpen to win a division over the course of a 162-game season. I think the Cardinals can do it, man. What we've seen from the lineup, Arenado had a home run today, had a double. He's been great. Brendan Donovan has been probably their best offensive player. Wilson Contreras is hitting home runs. You got guys like Victor Scott providing speed and hitting for average. You got Mason Wynn playing strong defense at shortstop, and he can provide some pop in the lineup. Jordan Walker's kind of figuring it out, specifically in right field. Maybe not at the plate, but Jordan Walker's figuring it out in right field. I really like their lineup. They got Ivan Herrera. He's back from the injured list. Nolan Gorman on the bench still. And then you go to the rotation. Sonny Gray's been great. Eric Fedde had a great start on Friday. Andre Pallant has been great. Mikolas finally had a good start today. And Matthew Libertador has been strong too. Like I'm kind of buying this Cardinals team. They have a strong closer in Ryan Helsley. Phil Maton's been strong lately. And maybe not as much. But I was thinking of Steven Matz. Steven Matz has been strong lately. Jojo Romero has been good in the pen. Like, I don't know. I think this team has a better pitching staff than what the Cubs have right now. I'd still take the Cubs lineup, but I don't think this division is over by any stretch of the imagination. I think Cards, Brewers, and Cubs might be kind of battling for this thing the whole year. And that's a total change on my take from last episode, but I'm kind of selling Cub stock a little bit right now.
Yeah. I'm not too Cubs. I'm not Central. I'm about the coast. I'm about the West Coast and the East Coast. That's me right now. That's my vibe. But,
no Cardinals take from you?
Nah, I mean they were fun story, feel good story.
Well, we're gonna learn a lot about them coming up. They got Philly, KC, and then Detroit. Tough stretch.
They already played Philly. They'll beat KC. Yeah, it's just a little feel good story. There's your version of the Detroit Tigers. Give you a warm fuzzy feeling inside. Get you up in the morning type of vibes. Cincinnati, Houston won 2 out of 3. Hunter Brown, Cy Young, Hunter Brown. How we feeling? 5 2/3, 2 hits, 0 earned, 4 walks, 9 Ks on 101 pitches. The Reds suck. Reds can't hit. And if it wasn't for Lance McCullers being like a pinata on Saturday, they stink. I'm sorry. Like, I am fully divesting my Red stock. Like, Ellie De La Cruz, get ready to hit free agency.
Yeah. De La Cruz hit his first home run since April 20th on Saturday. And the Reds scored 10 in the first, and Brady Singer couldn't get through 3 innings. He gave up 7 earned. Somehow managed to not get the win in a game that they scored 10 runs in the first. I feel like that's a little bit embarrassing. They did win that game. But yeah, to your point, they can't hit shutout on Friday and Sunday.
Not a good baseball team.
Not a good baseball. I don't think either of those teams really are doing much for me this year, to be honest.
Gavin Lux, get him in the trade machine. I already got Gavin Lux in the trade machine already.
Yeah.
Atlanta, Pittsburgh. Pirates won the series 2 out of 1.
2 out of 3. Why 2 out of 3?
Very embarrassing for Atlanta. I mean, Pirates won Friday and today, and they won in 11. The Braves. Like, Braves, are we putting up the white flag for them?
No, it's still too early, but this was a pretty disappointing series for them. I was expecting a series win at the very least. I was looking for a sweep, against Pittsburgh, a team that just fired their manager, but maybe it's a new manager bounce thing for Pittsburgh. Don Kelly, he got ejected from the game on Saturday, which is funny for arguing balls and strikes, as Kyle Schwarber goes yard and extends his on-base streak to another, 43 games now?
Yeah.
It's crazy. O'Neal Cruz left the game on Saturday, lower back tightness, looked kind of tough. Chris Sale just hasn't been good. They lost the game he pitched today.
My thing is with Atlanta. Here's the deal. I actually had this conversation with my buddy, a really close friend of mine down here in Miami. We went to comedy night on Thursday, and it was a group of friends of us that showed up, and it's a very old tavern bar. Like, they have baseball in the background, one of those bars where you chat sports. And so we all went for comedy night, and it was me and him for the first 30 minutes. And we started talking baseball, and he asked me, "Yo, Luis, how are the Braves doing?" And as I'm giving my analysis, that I feel that I am, qualified to give my analysis, I walked out of that night going to my car, and I'm like, the Braves are screwed. Because think about it. If you have San Diego, which, I mean, might as well talk about San Diego right now. San Diego just mollywopped B2A situation with the Rockies this weekend. Rockies fired their manager today because of it. San Diego's doing great. San Francisco is doing great. Arizona is doing great. LA, four teams that are in contention right there. The Central's weak, and we all say that only one Central will get in. And then when you look at the East, the Mets are starting out really hot, and the Phillies. And then you have the Braves in third. Where does that leave the Braves? How are the Braves going to make it with 3 wild cards? If you don't start stacking these wins now, it's going to get really difficult to get yourself out of the hole that they've already built themselves for. And looking at how these West teams are all, over 20 wins, I don't know how the Braves make it. Looking back at it, I was like, wow, the Braves might be screwed.
Yeah, they might have just dug themselves too big a hole. They started out 0-8, and I think the stat was that no team that has started out 0-8 has made the playoffs. I expected more against Pittsburgh, and now it's Washington for 4 to start the week, and then they're going to Boston, where they're going to face Crochet, Giolito, and Houck. They're 6.5 back. They're 6.5 back in the division.
But it's the wild card. It's not even that they lost 8. Like, it's not even that they went 0-8. It's the fact that the West is better than we anticipated.
Yes.
And the West is so good. And then the Mets have stacked up all these wins. And obviously the Phillies are, they're leaving a little bit to be desired. They're leaving a little salt, some seasoning, but they're still a very competitive baseball team. And I just think, like, how we look at things, I just don't know. I just don't see a path. If the Giants are playing like the way they are, and Arizona, plays a little bit better, I just don't see a path where Atlanta can make it.
Yeah, if you look at the wild card standings right now, they're 4.5 back in the wild card. Now, I do expect San Francisco to fall back down to earth a little bit. They just got swept in Minnesota this weekend. And now the thing is, I do think Arizona will hit their stride at some point in the season. So those two will kind of cancel each other out. So yeah, it's a good point. I think if the Braves are going to try to make the playoffs, they got to really start getting rolling right now. And a series against Pittsburgh is, you would think, a way to get going, but they just didn't do it.
They got to go nuclear. And so, it is what it is, my guy. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Anything from the Paul Skeens comments that you want to talk about?
No, he had some comments Friday just saying they got to be better, basically, after the manager got fired. It's kind of going along the theme of he doesn't seem very happy there. And I just don't expect him to resign. That's really it.
I feel like Libby Dunn's doing a great job PR saying that they love Pittsburgh. But but that's what good significant others do. Tampa and Milwaukee. Tampa won 2 out of 3. Again, strong starts from Zach Littell, and then yesterday they had Tosh Bradley, 6 innings. Anything to talk about? Rays had ponchos. I think that's the biggest takeaway. Rays ponchos. Brewers, tough series for the Brewers. Might be time to hop off that Brewer train, sell the Brewer stock.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to take away from this one, to be honest. The Brewers bullpen struggled on Saturday, and Travis Jankowski had the walk-off single there. Just expect a lot of rain delays in Tampa this year. That's really all I got from this one. Both middling teams, to be honest.
Minnesota, I got to watch a little bit of Joe's Twins this weekend. Sweep San Francisco. Chris Paddock, 7 1/3, 20 out of 25 first pitch strikes. And that's really interesting. I was watching a baseball content creator, Bat Boys Baseball, on Instagram, and they went to ask players, like, what's a stat that you look at that not many people would take note of? And, not ERA. One of the pitchers said, what is my first pitch strikes? Because if I'm pitching first pitch strikes, it means that I'm working efficiently and I'm one step closer to getting them out, and I'm getting ahead in the count. So that is a very significant stat. 20 out of 25, tied 17 in a row. It wasn't bad from San Francisco. It was just really, really good from Minnesota. Today was a tough one for them to lose. They were in control this morning, but 8 straight now for Minnesota. Could be buyers at the deadline. It could hold pat, which can then make the deadline even worse in July.
Yeah, that's a good point. MLB had a post on their Instagram. The Twins started out 7-15, and they've crawled all the way back 14-5 since that slow start. So I don't know what to think of them right now. They're 21-20. The pitching has been strong. Pablo Lopez, 6 innings today. Did give up 4 earned runs, but Joe Ryan was really good on Saturday. 6 innings, 1 earned run, and they have a really good closer. And of course, Paddock was outstanding on Friday. So Buxton has been strong. Royce Lewis, clutch hit today. So they've been streaking. We'll see if they can keep it up. I think really don't think they will, but they got Baltimore, which I don't know. Baltimore's kind of been easy, and then Milwaukee this week. So they could continue this hot streak.
Good segue into Baltimore. Baltimore won 2 out of 3 versus the Angels this weekend. Orioles won 4-1 on Friday, and then the Angels won 5-2. Paving that hole out of the bottom.
What?
Paving that hole out of the bottom for the Orioles, just digging.
What does that mean?
Getting out of the bottom of the cellar of the AL East. They got to start somewhere. 2 out of 3.
Sagano's been a nice bright start, or a bright spot for them this year. Good free agent signing. 7 1/3 on Friday. Only 1 earned run, no walks, 5 strikeouts. He's the first Orioles starting pitcher to record an out in the 8th inning this year. They are still in the cellar of the East. 10 games under 500. They got Minnesota, Washington this week. Their stats are crazy. They're 28th in starting pitching ERA, 28th in relief ERA. I'm still out on them. I'm out on the Angels. Yohan Moncada's been pretty good for the Angels this year, which is kind of cool to see. But yeah, not much from this series either. I don't expect either of these teams to be there. And there's not really a ton of trade pieces either. Zach Eflin came back today and started. They won 7-3. So maybe that's welcome. I mean, that is definitely welcome for them. He went 5 innings, 2 earned runs. But they're kind of like the Braves, where they've dug themselves a pretty big hole. It's going to be really hard for them to get out of it.
Interesting. So the next series we got, we already talked about San Diego. There's no need to talk about San Diego. I mean, Colorado fired their manager, but Black, he's out of here. Nothing to say. I mean, Jackson Merrill's on a heater, trying to get me out of the cellar in fantasy baseball with my hitting categories. Boston, KC. Boston won 2 out of 3 versus Kansas City. Royals won in 12 on Friday in a marathon game, but then Boston controlled the rest of the series. I mean, Yolito was strong after getting shelled against Texas. But, man, that Boston defense, that's not great.
Yeah, tied for the MLB lead in errors, which is not what you want. Romy Gonzalez hit the injured list, and he was kind of the guy that was replacing Tristan Casas at first base. They had Nick Sogard play first today, so I think that's obviously a huge storyline to watch for them, is that first base position with Devers kind of not wanting to go over there. What do they end up doing? Do they go look externally? Do they call up one of these guys in the minor leagues to play first base? Remains to be seen. I saw that Marcelo Meyer has been dominating the minors this year and has actually had a better start to the season than Roman Anthony, who's the number 1 overall prospect. For all the controversy off the field, Devers has been really good. He had a double yesterday, 3 RBI night on Saturday, and then today he had a home run, absolute bomb, which was his 7th home run of the year. So Chapman almost blew it in the 9th, but he picked up another save. And yeah, the Red Sox are playing good baseball now. They're 2 games over 500, game and a half back of the Yanks in first, and they're going to be there. I'm telling you, they're going to be there. We know they got Atlanta next weekend, which it's rivalry weekend. I don't really know. Atlanta, Boston's a rivalry. They also got 3 against Detroit on the road before that.
Yeah, well, it happens. You can't. The Yankees have a lot of rivals in it. It just happens when you're at the top. It gets lonely at the top, as they say.
Well, I think Yankees Red Sox is a bigger rivalry than Yankees Mets, but MLB wanted that Soto return to be this weekend, I think, is probably what happened.
Toronto, Seattle. Toronto swept Seattle. I mean, Friday night I was watching that game. Mariners had a chance to win it, bases loaded, couldn't, with no outs, couldn't get a run in. Jeff Hoffman rebounded after a tough week last week with the Angels series. Was looking really good out there. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a guy teams look at the deadline to see if Toronto falls out of it. They see just check, because he's been really good. Good stuff. Could be a guy you could move in the offseason to become a starter.
Whoa.
That's what they were going to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, looked pretty good. And then Arizona, LA, what a game on Friday. Shohei Ohtani, I thought the Dodgers were dead to rights, and then Ohtani with the bat flip, whole lot of aura on that bat flip from a guy that really doesn't show much aura. Arizona won Thursday, Dodgers won Friday, and then Diamondbacks won Saturday, and then Dodgers won today. So how are we feeling about it?
Yeah, I think some interesting news came out today that Snell's recovery isn't going great. He was set to meet with team doctors Monday to try to determine the next step in his recovery from left shoulder soreness. The shoulder is still bothering him. He was planning to resume catch earlier this week, but that was put on hold. So he's been on the injured list for over a month. That's something to watch. But yeah, they keep winning games. Gonsolin was good today. Freddie Freeman's been on fire, hit another home run today. Corbin Burns was really good on Saturday. Sorry, what are you gonna say?
they're going to keep spending money. Like Kyle Tucker, they're in the news for Kyle Tucker now, which is, who knows? It's the Dodgers.
Please, Cubs, like please resign him.
No, or
Roki's-
Yankees, or the Phillies.
I don't really want him to hit free agency because if he hits free agency, it's going to become a bidding war, and it's just Dodgers are going to win that.
Well, they're saying in the article that Bob Nightingale said, they're going to be in it like more so like Juan Soto, like keep everybody honest.
Okay, we'll see.
They're going to get Murakami. They're getting Murakami. Let's just say that.
That's true. Yeah, that's a lock. Minus 700 odds.
Roki's not great, man.
He stunk on Friday.
He can't get whiffs on the fastball. Like, and Armand picked him up in fantasy baseball. And he's like, oh, he's gonna be like, oh yeah, but he's not good. He's literally not good. I've been carrying this whole thing. He's not good. His form, his delivery has been adjusted with the leg kick. I sent a video out to you, which might be a Substack article coming soon. Who knows? His leg kick is now a little more, instead of it being more to a 90, now it's more of an acute angle. And his velocity on his fastball from that 102, 101 in the WBC is now down to mid-90s. So it's something to keep in mind. He's not getting whiffs with the fastball. Splitter's not getting strikes. And then you're then down to a slider, which is like the tertiary pitch. It's not good, man. Not good. Roki may need the minor leagues.
He might. He's on a minor league contract, so if it doesn't work out for the Dodgers, who cares? He's still super young. I'm not giving up on him. He's got time to develop, but it might not be this season for him. I guess
he might need to go to OKC.
Yeah.
Well, OKC's good with young players. Look at Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Lou Dort. You got Williams.
Yeah, we'll see. But I mean, hey, what a week in baseball it was. I mean, we got rivalry weekend coming up. I think that's really excited to look forward to. The return of Juan Soto. Yeah, man, that's cinema. Absolute cinema.
Yeah, it's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be ugly.
You think they're gonna be extra security at right field?
Yeah. It's almost to the point to the Mets not play him in right field and just DH him.
That's what I was going to say. Are they going to DH him the whole weekend? If they DH him the whole weekend, that's going to be like, oof. And what is the reaction going to be with ex-Yankee players? Is he going to come dab him up? Or how is it going to be?
These are all things I'm wondering. Yeah.
I low-key think he's not going to dab, but like the Yankees are going to be like, we don't care.
I think him and Judge will dap up just because Judge is a class act. Even if Judge doesn't like him.
It's a media. It's a PR thing.
Yeah.
Because Judge knows if he doesn't dap him up, like they'll create more of a shitstorm, man.
Exactly. And Judge knows what he's doing. So
yeah. So great guy. Right. I read an article. I don't know if you saw it, but Players Tribune, because the A's have a lot of old Yankee players, ex-Yankee players, like they have Severino, Urshela, Miguel Andujar, JP Sears, and a lot of them through trade. And so he actually, when JP Sears was coming up through Yankee spring training before he got traded in the Frankie Montas deal, he actually invited JP Sears, him and his family, out to dinner once they got back, that first night when they got back before opening day for making the roster. And he was a really big part in the move. And seems like Judge seems like a great teammate, like a great dude that you want to hang out with.
Yeah, I saw that. Good story. I mean, the captain. It's the kind of guy you want leading your team.
Yeah. I think the debate's going to be like Derek Jeter or Aaron Judge. Like in 10 years, we'll be having.
In terms of on-field production, it's obviously Judge, but in terms of like iconic Yankees, I still think Derek Jeter's ahead of him because he was part of the dynasty.
Well, if you take the dynasty away.
I mean, yeah.
I think Jeter was more on the scene. Like Jeter was out there.
Jeter was definitely out in the New York lifestyle, nightlife, much more. Judge seems to be pretty settled down, more calm guy. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so. And with that wraps up the week. This is week 6.5. William, anything to look out for Substack-wise? Article coming soon?
Probably not this week. We'll see, though. Stay tuned for Yankees in 60 every day on our YouTube. Hit that subscribe button on our YouTube. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We'll be back, I think, later in the week or a week from today or what? We'll talk about it. All right, we'll talk about it off air. We got some travel this week. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Luis, thanks as always. Hope you guys enjoyed. And until the next episode, catch you guys next time. Peace out.